How long before we will be able to characterize, classify the United States as a sustainable energy superpower, in your view?
This is the biggest investment, and especially when you consider that all of the funding will require public-private partnerships. So there'll be private sector investment in addition to the public investment. $370 billion worth of investment in clean technologies has never been done before. It is massive, and it is likely to be double that if you consider what the private sector will be doing. And when you combine the bipartisan infrastructure law, which incentivized the advanced technologies like clean hydrogen, like carbon capture and sequestration, like long duration energy storage, battery storage. Though that funding, another $62 billion combined with the CHIPS Act. So there's the bipartisan infrastructure law, sort of the backbone of next generation technologies, including advanced nuclear. The CHIPS Act is like the brain, because obviously you're funding the semiconductor industry in the United States, again, an effort to reshore that capability. And then the lungs of it is really this Inflation Reduction Act, which provides incentive for the private sector to really help to deploy this next generation technology. All three steps are such a boost to the United States and puts us in a leadership position. And so while it's going to take some time to build up those supply chains, obviously, but the incentives in there, particularly in the vehicle side, for the automakers to bring that manufacturing capability into the United States are very quick. The turnarounds there, I mean, we'll see if they're able to keep up with the timelines, but it is really, I think people's hair is on fire to be able to meet the deadlines that are specified in the Act.
How much of a difference do you think this makes for the upcoming COP27 summit in Sharm el-Sheikh? Do you think that the United States is now in a position to make something more of COP27, or are we really looking for the next year, for the year after that, on the global stage?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I do think that COP gives us an ability to have some moral authority to say we are putting our money where our mouth is on this, and therefore we are going to be still pressing our allies. But honestly, our allies are there too because of what has happened. When you look at the NATO allies, for example, or our European allies who understand how vulnerable we are by relying upon fossil fuels or any technologies from countries whose values we don't share. And so the ability to be able to band together to find solutions on the technology side, to make sure that countries are energy secure because they don't want to have to rely upon Russia, for example. So the Europeans obviously are moving with alacrity in this direction. Germany, I think, saw in the first half of this year a 22% increase in solar. They need it. It's an existential question, obviously, because they have had such a great reliance upon Russian fuel. Great Britain, they just completely decided they were going to not use any
No more Russian energy.
What does that tell you? They've got to move swiftly as well. So for people, it's not just a moral question. It's an issue of, can we get enough reliable energy for our people right now? And of course, because we're talking about the climate and every one of their citizens is experiencing these extreme weather events. So, it has been a horrible year in terms of the war and in terms of eyes open about how vulnerable we all are when we don't create our own homegrown energy sources. But that is an accelerant as well toward the ultimate goal of getting to 100% clean electricity or net zero by 2050.